Hey friends, Stephen Michael Miller here, and this is your Morning Momentum. So glad to have you with me here today. I wanted to talk today about feedback. And you may not love that word feedback, and I think most people don't really love the word feedback. They don't love what comes along with feedback because usually feedback is about getting information that you may or may not be aware of or you may or may not see. Oftentimes, we call those areas that we don't see our blind spots. And so the feedback is to help us uncover those blind spots and make even better decisions, make even better growth, create greater success in our lives. But feedback for most people is kind of maybe it's a not so much a longer word. Maybe it's more like a four-letter word. A lot of people don't love it, and so we don't typically go around looking for feedback. But if you're looking for true growth in your life, then asking other people for feedback is one of the best things that you can do. This isn't a time for people to dog on you, to trash talk you, or anything like that, but this is really an opportunity for you as an individual to create a space where you can actually overcome some of the weaknesses that you aren't even necessarily aware of. You see, we are aware of certain things. We can go out and do something, and if we did a bad job or we feel like we did a bad job, we could maybe be aware of the bad job that we did, and we even sometimes will get down on ourselves because of that. But feedback is usually really useful for us because it's the things that we don't see, things where we think maybe we did a good job where someone else perceived something different. You see, in life, it's all about our perception, and it's great to have a positive perception. It's great to be really positive about yourself and to think that you're great, but it's also really important to understand how other people perceive and see you, not to necessarily form and mold who you are based on that, but to understand and to see if there's anything that is of value in that type of feedback. So when you go to someone and you ask them for feedback, number one, I would probably say, go to somebody that you know, love, and trust. Right? That's someone that you know, love, and trust. In other words, someone that you know isn't going to just be harmful or hurtful to you just for the sake of being hurtful, but someone that is willing to be upfront and honest with you and give you the true feedback that you're looking for so that you can really improve in whatever area or aspect of your life you're looking to improve. This kind of feedback is invaluable. This type of feedback is a feedback that true friends, hopefully, will be willing to give, or family members. I went through an experience once, this is many, many years ago, where we were asked to go to our friends and family members and ask them for specific feedback or areas where they felt we had maybe, or I had, some blind spots. And I'll tell you, when you're looking for this type of feedback, it doesn't always feel great, but you can prepare for it. You can understand that first of all, you asked for it. Second of all, people are going to come at you with different experiences and different perceptions because, of course, they're different people. And thirdly, that kind of feedback is going to give you an opportunity to change and grow. I think that most people, first of all, don't even listen. So number one, if you're going to ask for feedback, the biggest thing that you need to do is to listen. As you're listening, you don't want to just to listen, but you want to listen for the truth in the words that are being spoken. Oftentimes people that give you feedback, it's their truth, it's things that they are observing or that they're experiencing, and usually it's going through a filter of their own experiences. So although it may be true for them, it doesn't have to always be true for you. Feedback is just feedback. But if you will get after that feedback, and if you will accept that feedback and look for the little pieces of truth that are maybe embedded or hidden within that feedback, all of a sudden you can begin to take greater accountability, greater responsibility. But better than that, that listening allows you to take the first steps of change. And the first steps of change are to implement a different strategy or a new way or a new action. Right? That implementation phase is extremely crucial. When someone comes to me with feedback, my next step is to take that feedback, find out what's true for me, and then go and do a different action based on that feedback and the truth that I just uncovered. Right? If someone said, "Hey, Stephen, you're really abrasive, and when you speak to me, I get a little fearful," or this is just an example. I could listen to that and say, oh, you're totally wrong. No, I'm not. I don't ever do that. Come on, I'm a nice guy. Or I could get that feedback and say, okay, are there areas in my speech that I could improve? Are there moments where I maybe am not kind enough, or I'm not thinking about the other person's feelings as much as maybe I'm thinking about how right maybe I feel like I am in that scenario or in that argument or in that conversation? And when I accept that, when I think about that, and I go back in my mind into experiences that I've had, I have now an opportunity to identify areas that I can adjust and change, and then implement a different strategy or a different way of communicating, or whatever that thing is that I'm identifying in that feedback, a different way to do it. Which then allows me to go into my next situation and act differently. You all know this. Different isn't always better, but better will always be different. So if I'm acting better, if I'm taking that feedback, internalizing what I believe to be true of that, taking on that accountability and responsibility, and then implementing the change, when I implement that change, I can then ask for feedback again. If I implement that change, if it's, for example, with my wife, if I were to go back to my wife and say things maybe a little bit differently, and then ask, hey, did I say that better, or did that come through better, or was that still abrasive, or whatever that might have been, I can then get feedback again, and that feedback could say, oh, that was much better, or maybe if you would do it this, that, or the other way, it would be even better. Those types of feedback loops, this isn't just a one-way kind of thing where you ask for feedback and it comes back and then it's done. This is about implementing proper change. So if you're going to get out there and you're going to ask for feedback, make sure that you're willing to implement the difference or the change so that you can go back and ask for more feedback, implement more change, ask for more feedback, implement more change. And if you continue that loop and doing that over and over and over again, this is one of the biggest parts of personal development, is the ability to take the feedback that's given, whether that's personal feedback or self-feedback, or feedback from another individual, a trusted source, and to implement change from that feedback. So, if you want to improve, if you want to create greater success in your life, if you want to keep that momentum going, then take feedback, ask for feedback, take that feedback, and implement the positive change from that feedback. Everyone, this is Stephen Michael Miller with your Morning Momentum. Thank you so much for being on. And if you haven't yet, take some time to subscribe. We come out with new videos every week. We'd love to have you on with us. If you have any comments about how you're implementing change, how you're receiving feedback, I'd love to hear from you as well. And with that, have a fantastic day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.